With 2023 fast approaching, the FNAF Security Breach Ruin DLC is coming as well. But ever since that first poster, we haven't really got anything from what I can tell. So, what are we looking to see in this new DLC? And what theories about the story and mechanics are we hoping are correct? That's what we're exploring today. Let's do it. And be sure to let me know in the comments what date you think that this is going to come out. Be exact, okay? Let's have some fun with it. In a 10 FNAF ARG. This was brought up in an older, or kind of like a recent but not the most recent matpat FNAF theory, and people were starting to suggest that actually like an ARG would be involved in the DLC. The basic idea being that the FNAF Fazbear Frights books were originally going to have an ARG that Scott ended up cutting out for whatever reason, and then released as part of the Felix the Shark book as the extra couple stories. But I'm here to tell you that that's probably not real. All right, Scott has said on multiple occasions that he doesn't want to cross the line between fact and fiction, and that he wanted to keep these two worlds separate. Probably because, you know, FNAF relates so closely to Chuck E. Cheese. And that's also why he would have never made a real location. Or at least he didn't until the announcement, or I guess the discovery of the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza delivery service. The digital restaurant delivery service in the works since at least January of 2021. So, yeah, maybe it's more accurate than we thought. In a 9 into the pit. This is crazy, I will admit, okay? It's most definitely not the case, but I just want it to be real, okay? FNAF has already established time travel as possible in the very first Fazbear Frights book called Into the Pit. Remember that one? It's the title story as well, where Oswald ends up jumping into a ball pit and then somehow leaving 2011 and appearing in 1985 to witness the missing children's incident. Yeah, that story wasn't written for no reason, okay? And where do we see the first ball pit that wasn't in a pizzeria simply meant to lure animatronics around? Oh, would you look at that? The Mega Pizzaplex, I'm just saying, the time travel is already established as canon in the series, and considering how sketchy Gregory is, I wouldn't put him past him from being from the future or something, alright? There are two key indicators that in my mind point to this. The therapy disc, where the therapist calls Client 46 out on the lies of their home life, and the fact that when Gregory leaves the Pizzaplex in the worst ending, he sleeps in a cardboard box. The therapist in that tape says that 46, who it can still be Gregory, it might be the little girl who was in the poster for this DLC, but if it is Gregory, he has a great home life, okay? But like what they told their previous therapist was a lie. So if that was the case and his home life is great, why is he sleeping in a cardboard box, okay? Like, he says his parents suffered some form of tragedy and he's sleeping in a box, but apparently if he is 46 at least, that's not true. Yeah, maybe because it hasn't happened yet, okay? The tragedy where he most likely loses his parents hasn't happened as of when the game takes place. And that's why he can't actually go home to see them, because then there'll be two Gregorys and they're like, what? How? In a date, Susie. The girl in the center of the FNAF Security Breach Ruins poster is most likely our player character for this game. But, given the blonde hair and the cheek on the poster, could Susie be the FNAF Security Breach DLC main character? Now, your first instinct may be that this is impossible. That was my first instinct too. I mean, like, Susie's been dead since 1985 with the missing children's incident, and she ends up possessing Chica, who is then set free in Happiest Day. But, in the original novel trilogy, starting with the Silver Eyes, the Funtime animatronics are described as being injected with Remnant made from the original 5 possessed animatronics, meaning that if Remnant does contain at least part of a soul, that the original 5, despite being set free in Happiest Day, no matter when Happiest Day takes place in the timeline, could still have the slightest bit of spirit form in the main world, since they would have been an Ennard who, at least at this point, is Molten Freddy. I don't think that there is any explanation that could mean that this is Susie's original body. That seems like some supernatural shenanigan Lazarus pit kind of crap, and just seems fundamentally impossible. But could Susie have latched onto a new body? Maybe. And it's 1 year later. With the DLC not releasing until 2023, the question remains of when in the timeline the DLC will take place. Yes, it will take place after the true ending for Security Breach, obviously, but how long after is the actual question. See, with the state of the animatronics, it seems like it could be later on, and like with the release date being 2 years after the release of the original game, it means that it could be linear in a timeline sense. So maybe it would also take place 2-ish years after the ending, or maybe just 1 year, depending on how you look at it. I don't know. But then that would also bring on the question of why Gregory is trapped if it's a year or two later. And then we also have to ask, you know, who is this girl and why is she coming to this abandoned pizza place 2 years later when she is again the size of a 6-year-old and alone? You know, she's not like an urban explorer teen with her friends, so yeah. And while there are theories about it, this one specifically about it being like a year later is from Amanda specifically, but I don't know. We don't know and we won't know until it's released. But hopefully it is right because I would love to see how Gregory survived for a year. And at 6, Help Me. Very reminiscent of the Same Them mini game from the earlier FNAF games, and I think it was FNAF 2. You can see Gregory's face on the bottom left monitor with the phrase "Help Me" underscore written in big green lettering. This to me seems to indicate that we may have a potential plot idea brewing where we need to save Gregory and Freddy after the collapse of the Pizzaplex. Because I mean, like, we know that Gregory and Freddy are sitting on the hill in the final shot of the true game, and they're also sitting on the hill alone, meaning that if we do end up saving him, our player character is probably going to die in the process. This also means that we won't be playing this game as Gregory, obviously. I mean, I've already talked about it before. But the underscore here could also be like another indication of Gregory being a robot, if you want to look at it like that, which is kind of insane. And it's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, oh well. But it could also just be a reference to a file within the game files, or a file within the DLC files that could contain additional information. But I have no idea if that's true, or if it's just speculation. But given the fact that people think that there's an ARG, maybe a file that is help me underscore, since underscores are primarily used for putting spaces in file names without actually having to use spaces. I don't know, maybe that's something that we should look into when it's released. Maybe it'll have a little bit more info for us. Halfway through into number 5, Justice for Bonnie. Bonnie was missing from a security breach, having been most likely destroyed by Monty, but perhaps getting to investigate Bonnie's disappearance and being able to change how things go with, I don't know, just like the story of Fazbear Entertainment going forward would be an interesting mission. If we were meant to actually like truly investigate it, that is, I guess, like turn maybe at least part of the DLC into a bit of a detective game, I think that would be like a really fun, compelling, and like good side story. I don't know. And from what I've seen, we all want justice for Bonnie, especially since we want Papa Freddy to be reunited with Bonnie, since he seemingly really misses him, considering the dialogue from the first recharge station when Gregory asks him about Vanny, and Freddy says there is no Bunny in the Pizzaplex. Not anymore, in a very somber way, but I still don't trust Freddy, so I don't really care. I just want to be a detective like Batman. Plus, I mean, we also don't have any good animatronics this time around to help protect us, since Freddy is trapped, so maybe this will be the way for us to get another Guardian, since Freddy's with Gregory. And then there you go, you also get Choose Your Guardian. You're welcome. You can have that one for free. Steel Wool, just please respond to me on Twitter. For level 10. Now, the highest security level access that you can get in the main game is level 8. This just requires you to do every of the like security room mini games. However, with level 8 being the highest that you can actually achieve, it begs the question as to why there are doors with level 10 security. Because if it's impossible to achieve that level, what's the point of giving them a security level at all? I mean, there are doors that are actively locked and don't open at all, that aren't blocked. So like, why not just make the doors that you would have made level 10 just impenetrable? It doesn't seem efficient to me, okay? They could have been saving these areas for this DLC, and they could add maybe 2 more security pass rooms, since like if you end up no clipping past the doors with level 10, there is nothing behind them at all. So I mean, I don't know, it would be nice to get some additional areas in the DLC. These level 10 areas would give us that little extra sense of new content while also expanding the Pizzaplex in a relatively reasonable way, and especially considering how we've now had the place collapse, those level 10 doors still being shut would be a bummer. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Prisoner. Now, time to get into some theories about our little blondie in the middle, alright? Who is she? I don't know. I doubt that it's Susie, like I've mentioned earlier. But I've mentioned in previous videos how she looks an awful lot like the middle silhouette of the 9 children who have gone missing due to Vanny on the newspaper, and I still stand by that point, okay? I think they look similar. So, the most realistic answer that I have is that it's one of the missing children who aren't actually dead, and that they were instead trapped in the building somewhere, much like how Vanny in the first trailer for the game says that she has Gregory's friends here with her. So clearly Gregory must have known the kids that have gone missing, which actually actually would explain why he came to the pizza place in the first place. It doesn't really explain how he never mentions them throughout the whole game, but who knows, okay? Either way, it's a very real possibility that this blonde girl is just a missing kid who, thanks to the collapse, managed to escape containment like an SCP gone wild. But ultimately, in at number 2, No More Freddy. It is also possible that Freddy is destroyed, or that he just won't be in this DLC at all thanks to the statue we see on the poster. This poster could be an indication of what happened to Freddy after the Pizza Plex's collapse. I mean, like, it did destroy Chica pretty well, right? So, like, wouldn't it have destroyed Freddy too? Like, yes, he ends up on the hill with Gregory, but, like, I mean, it could be a dream, right? Or maybe it's like a heaven. Maybe they're both dead. That scene could be several years after the actual ending to the game. We could have just seen the end of the FNAF series with that shot, okay? We can't be certain. Or at the very least, the game could be just omitting Freddy and he won't make an appearance because they couldn't get the voice actor or something for whatever reason, hence why his statue is destroyed, okay? The thing is in pieces. Have you seen the poster? But why is it? We don't know. There isn't much rubble around it. The escalator walls are less damaged than this statue, so I don't know why the statue would be so destroyed if nothing around it actually seems broken, but you know, I don't know. And finally, in at number 1, Elizabeth Afton. I've mentioned before how both these kids, Gregory and this girl, look like Afton kids. Gregory is very clearly meant to be at least an allegory for Crying Child, okay? Stripes on the shirt, the age, the relationship with Freddy, it's right there in our faces, okay? Whether you believe he's a robot or not doesn't matter. He's at least meant to represent Crying Child. And now, look at this girl. While she may be in mostly black and white, she is very clearly blonde, okay? She has pigtails like Baby does, and we all know who Elizabeth was possessing. Yeah, Baby. She's also wearing a skirt exactly like Elizabeth was wearing at the time she ended up getting caught in Sister Location. And I mean, like, if Crying Child's 2 stripes are enough for a comparison, then I think that this is more than enough. The outfit is basically the same. And then, look at her shoes. The lights are the only thing that has color on them on this character, which is very clearly meant to draw our attention to it, and then those lights are purple and red. Purple representing Afton, obviously, and red could be Vanny. Maybe it's supposed to be Vanny's eyes, but Baby is absolutely covered in red, okay, from her clothes to her hair. Red is all over that animatronic. Plus, if this girl's in black and white, maybe she's just a ghost. Maybe she's not actually real. Maybe it's just Elizabeth's spirit coming after her brother. That's all the time we have for today, friends. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been in Charmaine Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video, unless you all crucify me for this one.